Hi everyone, this is Mukesh Otwani once again from learn-innovation.com. So guys, till now we have seen how do we invoke the browsers in Selenium with Python, right? We have seen how do we invoke different browsers like Firefox, Chrome, Edge, IE, and we have seen a couple of other commands as well. But today now we are going to deal with WebElements because our main goal is to automate the web application. In order to automate apart from browsers, we need to deal with the WebElements as well, right? So first of all, we are going to talk about few locators and then we will talk about how we can deal with the web elements. So let's get started. So this is about Selenium package that we have created earlier, Selenium script. So let me simply open this, and this was our first script, right? Where we have seen how to invoke Chrome browser. So I'm just going to continue the same. I will simply copy paste the same script, or let's create another script. So let's create a new file. I will just click on new Python file, and here I will simply mention deal with web element. Okay, you can name it whatever you wish. Right now I'm just saying deal with web elements. And now let's import from the scratch. So I will say from Selenium, and I will simply say import WebDriver. And now we are going to invoke Chrome. So I will say WebDriver dot Chrome, and just we need the service class object that we have discussed earlier, right? Now you can directly pass the driver as well, but you will get the warning. So now what we are going to do, we are just going to create a service class object that we will be passing here. So I'm just going to invoke. So this is a browser driver that we have already downloaded earlier. So I'm just going to create service class object. Okay, and here in the service class we are going to pass the Chrome driver path. And before using this service, we need to import this service class, right? So it is going to come from selenium.webdriver.chrome.service, and just we are going to import this service class. Once we created this object, now we just mention that we are going to use service and we need to provide this as object. Fine, so this will start our Chrome session, and I will be using this web application, but in case if you want to automate any other application, is totally up to your wish, because concept will remain same. So let me start, and before we start, let me maximize the browser. So I'm just calling a method from WebDriver called maximize window. It will maximize our browser. Now let's pass the URL, which is the application that we want to automate. And now let's see how do we interact with the web element. So guys, if you see everything on this particular web page or any other web page, everything is coming in a form of tag, right, which is nothing but a web element. But what exactly is web element in Selenium, we'll see now. So before we interact with web element, you need to understand few methods. So the moment you type find, you can see I'm getting a list of options, right? And you can see first of all we have this find element by class name, by name, by CSS selector, by ID, by link text, by partial link text, by tag name, and by XPath. So you can see these are the 8 locators we have in Selenium. Okay, so name, class name, CSS, ID, link text, partial link text, tag name, and XPath. Now these are the direct methods available, okay, where you can simply pass the value, respective value, and it will find the web element. But we also have a simple method called find element, and you can see now it is expecting 3 arguments. So this method will ask you 2 arguments, self and name. Self will be passed automatically, but this method will ask you a by argument. So this we will discuss later. This is a by class. Same thing you will find here. The moment you see find elements, you can see there's a small difference. This is find element, which will deal with single web element. Find elements is going to deal with multiple web element, which will return you list of web element. That also I will show you. Just hold on for a few more minutes. And same exact locators we have with find elements. Okay, so today we're going to deal with single web elements with direct methods. In the upcoming sessions we will see how do we deal with the by class as well. So first of all, let's say I want to log into this application. So I will simply right click on this text box and I will click on inspect. So you can see now we got the DOM, Now you can see one thing here, we have a name attribute, right? We also have a ID attribute, we also have a type equal to text. So just now I showed you we have a locator called by name and by ID. So this is what we can use for that particular method. So let me just take the name for the time being, and I'm going to use a method called find element by name. Okay, so this is the second one. You just need to provide the name, which is text username. In your case it might be different one. So it is going to return you web element. So let me store this as a username. Now how do you know what is this username? So let's do one thing. Let's do a print. So what I will do, I will first do a type. I will call a type and I will be passing this username so that we'll get to know what exactly this username is, right? And this we have seen earlier. In order to see what exactly is this driver, we will again get the type. So we'll say give me the type of driver. So let me close this so that I don't have to close it manually. I'm going to call a quit method which will close everything. So in our case it will simply close one browser instance. So it is going to run our browser and it will simply open the application. Before application starting, we are maximizing, and you can see we got the output. So just notice the second one, we are asking give me the type of this username. So what exactly it is, you can see in Python WebElement is a class and it is coming from this particular package. Can you see selenium.webdriver.remote.webelement, and WebElement is a class here. In Java we have WebElement and WebDriver, both are interfaces, right? But here if you see in Python, the first time when I ask what is driver, it is giving me this is also a class which comes from this particular package. Okay, so from now onwards I will be dealing this kind of variables as a web element. Now how exactly this web element behave, let's see. So I will simply comment this because we don't need the type, we understood what exactly they are, and let me simply perform some operation. Now once you got as a web element, now the moment you put dot, you can see we got couple of methods, and these methods is nothing but the simple operation that we can perform. So let's say I just want to perform the type. So we have a method called SendKeys. It is going to accept a value and it will simply do this type operation, and you can see they all belongs to web element. Can you see on the right hand side? And few methods which is coming, these are coming from object class, so few are coming as a method, few are coming as a properties, but right now we just need to deal with this web element. So let's use the SendKeys. In the SendKeys I will be providing a string and in double quotes or single quotes, and let me enter the username, which is admin in this case. Perfect. Now let me use other thing. This is the password. So you can see this password also have name, ID, autocomplete and type. So now we can use this ID. You can also use name, but since we have taken the name earlier, let me take ID this time, which is text password. And what I will do, I will again just say driver dot find element. This time let me take ID and I will just provide the ID. Sorry, semicolon not required. And you can store this into a variable we call password. Again, password is nothing but a web element, so you can also do same operation. So I can directly say SendKeys again, which is nothing but type, and this time I will say admin123. Yes, very easy. Now let's say I just want to click on this login button. So if you see, again we got type, we got name, we got class, and we got ID, we got value as well. So what we can use, see, again you can go with name ID because right now luckily we got all the locators. But let's take one more variation. I'm going to click on this button, sorry, this button, right? So class is button. Let's take this class name and let's try once again. So driver dot find element, and let's take this class name and just provide the class name. again it is going to return you a button. So I will just store this into a variable called login button, which is again a web element for us. So this time I'm going to just call a method called click. Clear? So very easy, just you are calling SendKeys twice because 2 times we have to perform type, 1 time we need to click on this button, right? So click SendKeys. Now let me run this and let's see how it behaves. So just right click, run. It's going to start a browser, maximize, and it entered admin username password, clicked on login, and you can see it is able to log into the application, right? We haven't called the quit method, so it's not closing. So you can simply call a quit method. And now if you see the logs, okay, it is not giving you error, it is giving you actually a warning. So it says find element by ID, name, class name. These commands are deprecated. Please use find element instead. Okay, so I will show you how to fix it, but you can see right now our script executed fine without any error. But yes, we need to fix this warning as well. Okay, so I will show you, but as of now let's keep it simple. Now in order to keep it into one statement, we can do a small thing now. So right now what exactly we are doing, guys, first of all we are storing into a variable, then we are calling this, right? So in case if you don't want to do this, what you can do, you can directly call these send keys into a single statement as well. So let me show you how. But before we move ahead, before I just remove this additional statement, I just want to show you a few additional methods as well which you can use. So let's say before send keys, I want to just say 3 additional methods. So as you can see, we got 3 more method here, which is again coming from WebElement: is enabled, is displayed, and is selected. So what exactly this is enabled will do? This is enabled method will tell you whether this particular element is enabled or not, and is displayed, as usual, it will simply say whether this element is displayed on the UI or not. So many times you will face this scenario where element is displayed but it is not enabled. Okay, so these 2 methods are going to help you a lot in the long run. And you can see one more method called is selected. This is basically when you deal with radio button checkboxes and you want to verify whether these are selected or not, this method is going to help you. So right now I'm going to use this is enabled. Now once you call this is enabled method, it is going to return you a boolean value. Okay, so I will store this into a variable called enable status, and same thing I will do like one more time. I will just use this username variable, which is a web element, and I will call is displayed, which will simply give me whether this particular element is displayed or not. And let me store this into a variable called display status. So these are boolean values. We will get true or false. In our case, both is enabled and same username is enabled and displayed, so we'll get true in both the cases. In case if you want, just simply type a print and just say enable status, and you also do a display status. Right now we are just displaying, but later on we will be writing a small if condition that if both are true, then only simply do the send keys, otherwise skip that particular step or maybe fail our test. Now apart from these 2, if you want to see what other things we can do, you can see username dot, and we also have a clear method. So this clear method, as the name says, it is going to clear the text field or the text area. Right now when we launch our fresh instance, we don't have anything, but if you just call a clear method, it is going to clear the field in case if you have any pre-filled values. So before doing send keys, it's good practice if you clear the field. It is going to clear by default. And what about others? Let's just see. We also have another method called GetAttribute. So as the name says, GetAttribute, this is going to return you the attribute. So let's say I want to, okay, let me just log out from here. and let me simply right click, inspect. You can just inspect this once again, and you can see we got the ID, we got the name. So these are actually nothing but attributes, right? So let's say I just want to capture this attribute called type. I just want to verify whether it is text or not. So I'm just going to call a GetAttribute method, and I will ask for type. So I will simply say type, and it is going to give me a string value, and I will say attribute data, and simply I will print it. Okay, so we called enough methods. So 1 2 3 4 5 methods we have seen, and in case if you want to explore more, let's do one more thing. Just type username dot and just call a value of CSS property method. Okay, so what exactly it says, you can give me any property name and I'm going to return you the value. Okay, so if you go back here, can you see this is our CSS properties which we have. So let's say I just want to check the font size, so I can simply copy the font size and I can pass it here. As usual, it is going to return me a string, and I will simply store into a variable called font value. Okay, now we have enough data, so let's print font value as well. And now let's see. So maybe I will just give one space, one new line after each command, so that nothing should get confused. Yeah, so just find this username, then we are checking enable status, display, cleared, get attribute, type, CSS property, font size, and finally we are doing SendKeys. So in order to showcase, I'm just going to add a debug breakpoint at line number 9, and let me debug this program. So right now we are not doing the actual debugging, but it is just I want to show you the execution step by step. So I just added a breakpoint here, so our program will stop at line number 9. Okay, so yes, it stopped, and you can see it is asking us please continue using F8. The moment I press F8, it is going to execute this statement. It is going to pass the URL. So what I will do, I will just minimize this. Okay, just a second. Yes, and I will just minimize this as well, so that I can cover this little bit from here. Yes, perfect. Now let's execute using F8. So this executed is passing the URL, and once it is done, now it is going to deal with this web element. So just execute once again. So you can see we got this as a username, and you can see we have so many things, which is nothing but the additional thing which is coming from this web element, right? Now here the main part, I'm just calling is enabled. Let's see, just go to console. Okay, and okay, let's do this as well, right? We got two more variable, enable status, display status. In case if you want to see, just come here and you can see display status is true, enable status is also true. So right now I'm just going to print it. So the moment you just say print and print, you will see they both are printed here. Clear? Now what about next? Let's step over. So it is going to clear the field. Right now we don't have anything, so it will just do a normal clear again. Okay, now we are calling a get attribute type. So in case if you want to see, just go back to debugger, and can you see this? We got the value as text, which is type of a string, and display status, enable status is kind of boolean. Now we are capturing the font size of the username. So execute once again, and you can see we got the font value as 11 pixel, right? This 11 pixel is the exact same thing which we were trying to capture from here. So I'm just giving you example of font size, but you can take font family, color, padding, width, border. Not only this, if you want any other CSS property, Just you need to provide the property name, it is going to return you the value. Okay, so based on a requirement you can call the respective method. So now when I simply print, they will print as it is. So if you just come to console, okay, it is going to print. Now we are just going to do SendKeys. The moment you execute this, you can see it entered admin here, and now we are just typing the password. So first it will find the password field, and it will just, you can see, did the password part. Now same thing for login button, and the moment we say click, it is going to click on login as usual, and our script is almost done. Once it is done, now finally it is asking to quit the browser, so let's quit, and here we go. Right, so this is what we got, all the values we got: enable status, display status, get attribute type, and the font value. Apart from that, we have completed our script. Yes, very easy. So let me do a small change here. So I'm just going to create one more script, and I will just rename this as deal with WebElements 2. So I just want to show you, in case if you don't want to store this into variable and you don't want to call it another method, you can do this into one statement as well. So let's say I just want to do a SendKeys. So I will do a Control X, and simply I will say, the moment we find the WebElement, just call .SendKeys and just type admin. Okay, so right now I'm just removing all this because we have seen all of this now. Now same thing, if I just want to enter the password, I will say by ID, and again say .SendKeys, and I will say admin123. At last for the click, so I will say driver.findElement.click, and just remove everything. So there will be scenario multiple times, right, where you don't need to get all this value, you just want to continue with the steps. In that case, one liner is enough. You just say the SendKeys click and continue. But in case if you want to capture some attributes, capture some more details, in that case store into variables and then call these methods. Okay, I hope this was useful. We have covered many methods. In the next session we'll cover more details about different locators. Right now we just use 3: name, ID, class name, and few more we will cover in the next lecture. I hope this was useful. If yes, then please make sure you subscribe this channel, hit the like button, let me know your thought in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.